You're welcome.
And you know you mentioned one person who is, and one of the things you need. So that's very helpful. Another person, she was a person, and when now in terms of or how I would approach the presidency, I don't think I'd on domestic policy. You know, I've got friends but who both.
Yeah.
What I've found is very helpful to me, so that I'm not, so that any blind spots I have or predispositions that I have, that my assumptions are challenged, and I think that's extraordinarily important.
Okay.
Well, in my own life, I'd break it up in stages. I had I've written about this. There were times where I experimented. I was so obsessed with me and the reasons that I might be dissatisfied that I couldn't focus on other people. And I think the process for me of growing up was to recognize that it's not about me. Absolutely. But look, when I find myself taking the wrong step, I think a lot of it times it's because I'm trying to protect myself.
Fundamental selfishness.
And so that I think is my own failure. Now,
what about America?
Now, I think America's that basic precept, and that applies to not having, not thinking about. I mean, there's a pervasive sense, I think, that I'll give you an example that in fact, and that was, and I was new to the Senate, and it didn't necessarily engender a lot of popularity when I. But I think that we were able. I guess the other example where I'm not sure that this was because I actually changed my mind.
You changed your mind.
Well, I'm trying to think back. I think a lot of people anticipated, and one of the things that and the sense that you're part of. Well, I think the opposition, how this will affect are so profound. When you meet the troops, well, as a starting point, it means I believe in but what it also means, the expectations, and that I think trying to, well, I think that is above my pay grade. But let me just speak more generally about the issue. And so I think anybody who tries to deny, so that'd be point number one. But point number two, I am, and so for me, one of the things that I've always said is that on this particular issue, if you believe, because that is a core issue of, of the concern that that for a if that possibility presents itself, then that may be in place. But I want to make a broader point, Pastor Rick. Boy, let's go destroy, right? I mean, that's not the perspective that I think people come to that issue on, of human life and what it means to be human. But now the one thing that I think is very important is, and I think one thing that's very important is having in recognizing that just because we think our intentions are, I don't think that I don't think that confirms or more power than I. Well, first of all, I think you're aware, Pastor Rick, that Well, you know, it's one of those situations. You know, if you've got, look, here's how I think about it. Here's how I think about it. But the question that I think we have to ask ourselves, or for us to, you know,
A mass killing.
Yeah, I don't think that there is. Oh yes, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, but I, you know, I think you take an example like Bosnia, when we went in and undoubtedly saved lives. I cheated a little bit. I actually looked at this idea ahead of time, and I think it's a great idea. What can we do? I think that part of our plan, though, has to be around the world. I think, you know, I'm often you know, our relationship with China, for example, is a very complicated one, and creating a universal principle. This has to be a top priority, and this is an area where we've already seen bipartisan agreement on this issue.
Okay, in a minute, in 1 minute, because I know you could take the entire hour on this, tell me in a minute why you want to be president.
You know, I remember what, and that, I think, is what's made America special, is that notion. These are the kinds of forums we need, where we have a conversation, and I think based on these conversations, the American people can make a good judgment. I mean, one of the things that, if you're a person of faith like me, I believe that things will work out, and we will get the president that we need. What you want, though, is just to make sure that people have good information. You know, I want people to know me well, and I want people, I'm sure John McCain feels the same way, and that if we are both known, and people know where we stand on issues, yeah, I trust in the American people. They're going to make a good decision, and we're going to be able to solve the big problems that we face.
Okay, I've got 30 seconds. What would you tell the American public if you knew there wouldn't be any repercussions?
Well, you know what I would tell them is that solving big problems, and there's going to be a price to pay.